As France prepares to greet heads of state and government of the European Union for their summit meeting here on the Côte d'Azur. Of course, the turmoil surrounding John Major's future as Prime Minister has propelled all the divisive issues concerning Britain's position in Europe to centre stage here. In particular, the role of the nation-state as Europe considers the next steps towards economic and political integration. In this atmosphere of great uncertainty, I decided to take a sideways look at the future by visiting Europe's past, by meeting some of those whose hobby is the Europe of Napoleon Bonaparte. It was he, after all, who first talked of creating a United States of Europe. Thousands of enthusiasts for that period have just come together to mount a quite extraordinary reenactment of the Battle of Waterloo, fought 180 years ago in June 1815. Could that spectacular moment in our shared history, I wondered, still have any fresh lessons to teach?
It was the most decisive single day of battle in Europe's history. At Waterloo, Napoleon's ambition to rule over a united Europe was finally destroyed. It might not look as if this lavish recreation has much to do with today's arguments over European integration. And yet, I can't help thinking, modern political attitudes among all Europeans are powerfully conditioned by our history. The enthusiastic warriors here have come in their thousands from all over Europe. They share an obsession with the Napoleonic period, but they're divided in their views of Europe's future, and in particular of Britain's part in it. On the eve of the battle, camps are going up all around the modern Belgian town of Waterloo, as the people whose obsessive interest is the Napoleonic era. Jean-Michel Petit is typical. French estate agent doubling as member of the Emperor's Grande Armée, he's a committed European. For him, the defeat at Waterloo held up the integration of Europe, which Napoleon so much desired.
Les ambitions de Napoléon étaient de vouloir créer l'Europe au sens des États-Unis d'Europe. C'est lui qui en parle lui-même, avec une uniformité au niveau des principes, au niveau des valeurs et des libertés pour tout à chacun, pour aller dans le même sens en ayant les mêmes moyens. Les conséquences pratiques, on aurait gagné 200 ans, à savoir qu'on aurait effectivement, comment dirais-je, les mêmes mesures, une même monnaie, les mêmes principes, tout en gardant son individualité.
On the British side, I find them parading the past in style. The embassy in Brussels is having a ball. The Duchess of Richmond's ball, where the Duke of Wellington was first told of Napoleon's approach. Timothy Pickles will take Wellington's part on the battlefield, as representative of a stubborn island race who believed in a Europe of nation-states. He's convinced Maastricht, European integration, a single currency, all are betrayals of everything Wellington fought for.
I think he would have been completely stunned by it. I don't think it fell within his line of comprehension or indeed any other person of that time. After all, he had just fought a battle to prevent Europe being brought together under the dictatorship of Napoleon. I think that he would be appalled at the idea of a single currency, or that Europe could be made into some sort of homogeneous yogurt. It will taste of nothing.
Dawn, the morning of the battle, and Wellington arrives hot foot from the ball to lead the Allied troops. But the Eurosceptic Duke has Euro-federalists in his ranks. In 1815, Germans fought side by side with the British. It was history since which made us enemies. Klaus Westphalen, still pained by memories of the last war just 50 years ago, is delighted at the international friendships in the camp.
We feel united Europe. If you see us, here are a lot of nations, and we speak with another. What has been 50 years before, very difficult.
It's the fact that you're remembering war, not fighting it.
Yes, I think it is very important that we live together.
As the rival armies finally arrive at the battlefield, I'm rapidly warming to the commitment of these enthusiasts, who certainly live in the present quite as much as the past. And I'm putting aside a personal prejudice too, that people who like playing soldiers must be narrow nationalists. Here, for example, is an Englishman happier fighting in Napoleon's army.
Clive, where have you come from for this battle?
From Enfield in North London.
All the way from Enfield to fight with the French?
To fight with the French, yes. It's more interesting to fight with the French than with the British.
But they lost.
They lost Waterloo, but some might say the war's still going on, perhaps. But,
In what sense?
Well, in the context of sort of European unity, etc.
The battle itself I find completely absorbing. True, 3,000 soldiers have to play the parts of almost 200,000, but the sound and fury are still quite terrifying enough. For 3 hours, the French struggle to break the British lines. 2 things only are missing today. First, the figure of Bonaparte himself. The man who plays him has fallen ill. Second, the true horror of that day, the dreadful carnage.
What do you feel when the battle is raging around you?
You have a lot of emotions. You imagine it could be reality. And in yourself, you feel back to 180 years. And I think the main thinking is it should not be again, as it says.
But it won't be again, will it? Not in Europe?
You see, in Yugoslavia, we have it. We have to learn to speak with another. They didn't speak with another.
Slowly, the tide of this battle turns, but for Wellington, it was always the damnedest close-run thing.
Hard pounding this. We shall see who can pound hardy.
Wellington was rescued, of course. The arrival of the Prussians swung the battle decisively, and the Europe of nation-states was saved from Napoleon's dictatorship. The battle cannot help settle today's European debate, but the integrationists are convinced pooling national sovereignty in Europe has made war between member states impossible, while the skeptics believe a strong, independent nation-state is still a cause worth fighting for.
This is just commemorating history, and everybody is friends. And I think we all will remain friends. But I think that there are some politicians that have some strange idea that there exists a creature called the European. No, Europe is made up of different nations, and I think always will be. And if the politicians don't know it, the people certainly do.
Brigade! Shoulder! Arms!
It's just this passion which is now exploding with new force in the European debate.
Stand easy!
I think the fact that the Tory party are divided is also...
It's ridiculous.
Well, it also reflects the nature of the country, that they are only representative of people in the country, and the people in the country are divided over Europe.
If the momentum of European integration has slowed, it still seems to be towards closer union. In the post-battle parade, the French do look suitably dejected, but in truth, far more people chose to fight with them today, believing Britain's modern place is firmly in the Union.
L'Europe que l'on est en train de créer maintenant, elle ne peut se faire qu'avec l'Angleterre. C'est dans le même esprit. C'est ce pourquoi nous retrouvons, nous, aujourd'hui, commémoration de Waterloo. On célèbre effectivement nos racines il y a 200 ans, mais c'est dans une perspective d'avenir, parce que se retrouvant avec les Anglais, les Allemands, les Belges, les Hollandais, on se retrouve dans la même situation, comment dirais-je, en partageant la même passion, et puis on vit l'Europe ensemble. Ça, c'est une expérience extraordinaire.
At Waterloo, I've witnessed history shamelessly borrowed by both sides in the ideological war. But it's after nightfall when the really big propaganda guns open up. The Soleil Lumière presents just one image of future harmony. It is Europe and her peoples safely enfolded in the European flag. But the intoxicating imagery cannot settle the political battles still to come. The summit leaders debate, is this a union being built on genuine popular enthusiasm or merely on fear of something worse?